Hi guys, hope you are doing great. Okay, so the topic which we have selected today under the Agile Basics series is Scrum versus Kanban. This is something which we often wonder that what are the primary differences between Scrum and Kanban, whether both of these are Agile methodologies or framework, where do they fit in the Agile umbrella, and where to use Scrum, where to use Kanban, or how to use both in various project scenarios. So I'm going to address all these queries related to Scrum versus Kanban which are there on your mind. All right, let us first try to understand what is Scrum. So this term Scrum is actually derived from the game of rugby, where it actually means when several players come together, put their head down in a circle, and then push against each other to try to get the ball. Okay, so that part of the game is called as Scrum. So when it comes to the project management, it actually means that the entire team is coming together and working towards to get a goal done. This is the whole essence of Scrum. And as per the Scrum Guide 2020, which is the latest version of the Scrum framework, it is defined that Scrum is a very lightweight framework which helps people, teams, and organizations generate value through adaptive solutions for complex problems. So you have to focus on two things over here. First, that it is a very lightweight framework. Okay, it just gives you a structure, and within that structure you can add your own set of practices and rules. Okay, and second is that it helps you to build adaptive solutions. Okay, so the framework in itself is designed in a way that it helps you in attaining agility. Okay, so in Scrum, the Scrum Master is there to foster an environment where number one, a product owner orders the work for a complex problem in a project backlog. Number two, there is a Scrum team which turns that selected work items into a working product or a working service, which is called as an increment during the sprint. And third is that the whole Scrum team and its stakeholders come together at the end of the sprint. They inspect the results and then make adjustments accordingly for the next sprint. And this whole process keeps on repeating. A backlog is built, the team converts that backlog into reality, something of real value. Then we do the inspection about the quality, about the value of that work which is being done, and we make any necessary adjustment, and we start the next sprint again. So the heart of the Scrum is a sprint, right? A sprint which has a defined start and defined end time. You can think of each sprint as a project in itself because it has a start time, it has an end time, which is fixed. We have fixed weeks of sprints, well defined in Scrum, and we have a well defined goal for every sprint that you need to achieve. So that is the goal for that short term project. And it has its team, it has its stakeholder. Okay, so the whole sprint in itself is like a project which has a goal to achieve. Okay, now let us try to understand what is Kanban. So Kanban is a Japanese term wherein Kan means visual and Ban means sign or a board. So Kanban means visual board in Japanese. When it comes to the Agile umbrella, so Kanban is a method under the Agile umbrella for optimizing the flow of value through a process that uses a visual pull based system. So, three things you should be focusing upon here, number one, it is a method, okay, which has a very much well defined set of principles and process, because a method is very, very well defined, unlike a framework, which is a just a outline or a structure. Okay, so Kanban is a method. Second, it is based on a visual and pull based system. So by visual we mean here that all the progress of the work should be visualized well, either on a physical board or on an electronic board. And third thing is that it is a pull based system. Pull based system is a system of work wherein members pull the work on their own when they have the bandwidth from the pool or the backlog wherein all the work items are kept. Unlike a push based system where work is being assigned to them from the backlog, irrespective of the work in progress limit, that is how much work they can handle at a time, what is their capacity or bandwidth. So in pull system, they themselves pull the work on their own once they complete the existing set of work items which are in progress. As they get freed up, they pull another work item based on the priority and their capacity and they start working on it. All right. So there are three practices which are very important when we talk about Kanban. The first practice is defining and visualizing a workflow. So as I mentioned, the whole progress about the work should be visualized very well in Kanban. So you should have a very well defined workflow, which should have at least three states of work, which is not started, in progress, and done. Now you can further bifurcate these three states into multiple states, but there should be a well defined workflow and it should be clearly laid down that how and when one work item will move from one state to another state. What will be the rules? Second thing is actively managing items in the workflow. So this is about regularly reviewing that what is in progress, what is not started, if there is something which is getting delayed, why is it so, what actions do I need to take, if my work in progress limit is getting breached, etc. etc. So you have to actively manage the items in the workflow. And third is overall improving a workflow, okay, because it talks about optimizing the flow of value. Okay, so overall we have to improve the workflow as we progress so that we can achieve optimization. Alright, now as we have understood the basic meaning of Scrum and Kanban, now let's come to the differences between the two. So the first is type, okay, what is Scrum and what is Kanban? So Scrum is a framework for managing complex projects, okay. Here I'm talking about projects, the whole project, okay, and it's a framework as it's a structure, okay, it's a outline which is giving you certain rules within which you have to operate, and how you want to operate, that you can freely decide. Scrum is not very prescriptive in terms of how you need to do certain things. It just tells you what you need to do, that you have to follow, but how you need to do that and what all other things you want to add within this, that it doesn't tell you. That is up to you to decide. Okay, so it's a framework, whereas Kanban is the method for workflow management. Okay, a method is very well defined in itself, and it is a method for workflow management. When I say workflow management, it means that managing the flow of work from start to finish. So it's a method that helps in optimization of that workflow. The second is the origin, from where these got originated. So the Scrum was first used in a paper published in 1986 that was titled as The New Product Development Game. And then Ken Swiber and Jeff Sutherland, they first co-presented Scrum framework at Uppsala conference in 1995. And the official Scrum guide was first released in the year 2010. After that, there have been certain revisions on the Scrum guide, but the first copy was released in 2010. So these are certain important milestones in the history of Scrum, which helps you to understand how this framework got originated. Then let us talk about from where Kanban got originated. So Kanban came into picture in 1940s from Toyota production system, and they used it for just in time manufacturing. Okay, and after that, as Toyota was very successful after using this method, then it gained popularity and it emerged in the beginning of 2007 in other commercial sectors as well. Okay, uh, instead of just residing within the manufacturing industry, it came to all different commercial sectors. Nowadays, it is being very popularly used in software sector as well. So this is a little bit of history about Kanban origination. Now let's talk about roles. So in Scrum framework, there are three well-defined roles. Okay, it comes inside one single term, which is called as a Scrum team. Okay, so a Scrum team has a product owner, it has a Scrum master, and developers. So developers is anyone in the team apart from product owner and Scrum master. Here, do not get confused with the software developer. Okay, developer means anyone who does the execution of the work. Okay, it could be if you are in the IT industry, it could be a tester, it could be an architect, it could be a coder, programmer, it could be a DBA, anyone. Okay, everyone is called as developer. If you are working in any other industry, then whoever is doing the execution of the work, converting it into something of value, that person is called as developer. And when we talk about Kanban, so Kanban is a method, okay, it does not define any roles that you have to have on your team, okay, because it is a method of workflow management. It is not something for managing the whole project in itself. So it doesn't give you any predefined roles. It tells you that you just start with your existing structure. Whatever you have currently, you can start applying Kanban on top of that without making any changes in your organization's structure. All right, now let's talk about planning, how planning is being done in Scrum and how it is being done in Kanban. So in Scrum, for each sprint, a goal is decided at the beginning of the sprint and the plan is created accordingly. Whereas in Kanban, we do just in time planning. Okay. As the things keep on getting completed, we decide, okay, what is the next priority, and we pull it in our work in progress backlog. Now let's talk about the measures which are available to review our progress at any point of time and then take necessary decisions. So Scrum does not actually prescribes any measures or any matrices that has to be used, right? It is up to you what you want to use to measure and review your progress. However, in industry, there are some widely accepted measures which are projected capacity, that is in each sprint, how many hours are available for your team to work on the backlog, the velocity of the team, which is the average speed of the team or the average amount of work which the team is able to handle in every sprint. Then we have the burn up chart and the burn down charts, which shows the amount of work done and amount of work remaining respectively. And these are all sprint level matrices. Then we have uh, matrices in Kanban. So while Scrum does not prescribe or mandates any specific measures or matrices, but Kanban does. So in Kanban, we have these well-defined metrics that you have to use. Otherwise, you will not be able to get full benefits of Kanban. So the first measure is WIP, which is work in progress. That is at any given point of time, how many work items are in progress in your workflow. Then cycle time. So cycle time is counted since the beginning of the work item. That is when it comes in the in progress. Okay. So once it comes in the in progress, after that, how much time it is taking to get completed. That is the time uh, which is called a cycle time. So from in progress till completion. And then throughput. Throughput is the number of work items done per unit of time. And this per unit of time could be anything, could be a day, a week, or a month. So, for example, if you are able to complete 10 cards per week, so your throughput is 10. And then work item age. So work item age is applied to only the work items which are in progress. So how many days have been passed since those work items were brought in progress state? That is the age of that item. Then lead time. So lead time is the time from the inception of the work item till its completion. Whereas the cycle time is counted from in progress to completion, the lead time is counted from not started to completed. Then cumulative flow diagram. So this is a whole graph which gives you a very good picture about the overall progress. It gives the average cycle time and other things. What is your normal? How many work items are falling above the normal or below the normal? So it's a cumulative flow diagram, which tells you the health of your workflow. And then we have the cycle time histogram, which is built using the cycle time. It tells you it gives you a graph of the cycle time, okay, how it is getting spiked up or down, and how many work items were at the average or were above the average or below the average. So that is the cycle time histogram. All right, then let's talk about the events. So, Scrum framework tells you to do certain events for sure. These are the mandatory events that have to happen in every sprint. There are four such events: sprint planning, then a daily scrum, and sprint review and sprint retrospective, which happens at the end of the sprint. And sprint planning is the very first event wherein you plan the goal and the sprint backlog. When we talk about the Kanban method, so this method does not prescribes any mandatory meetings. Um, there is no such mandation about any events, okay, or any meetings in Kanban. Um, as again, it's not a project management framework. It is a method for your workflow management, your workflow optimization, more precisely. So, but still, the recommendation is that if you're using the Kanban method, you should not think like you won't have any meetings now, because outside that workflow, you would definitely need certain meetings to manage um, your project well. So even if you are using Kanban method, then certain meetings you should be doing which are the daily meeting, the replenishment meeting, wherein you refill the backlog, retrospective, which can help you in continuous improvement, the delivery planning meeting, right? The operations review, strategy review meeting, blocker clustering. So these are some recommended meetings that you should be definitely doing. And then it depends upon what project framework you're using and other things. Then let's talk about the board. So in the Scrum, the work items flow from the project backlog to the sprint backlog at the beginning of every sprint. And then within the sprint backlog, there could be different states of the work, which generally gets started from to do to done. For some teams, it is also accepted. So there is no such mandate again that what should be the states. It depends on the team and the nature of the work. So this sprint backlog is reset after each sprint, because this sprint backlog is for each sprint. So when the sprint ends, that sprint backlog also ends, and then a new sprint backlog is developed for every sprint. That is, a new board is set up for every sprint. Whereas in Kanban, because there is no such concept of repetition and iterations and any start and end date, it is a continuous flow. Okay, so it is a continuous flow, and that is why the same board remains there. The work items, status, and everything is being updated on that same board, so it remains as a continuous board and it is never being reset, since there is no such concept of sprints in Kanban. And it is a mandate that in the Kanban board, you should have at least three states of the work items: to do, in progress, and done. So to do is actually your backlog from where the work items are pulled in progress based on your work in progress limit. That is how much work items you can keep at a time in progress. And this work in progress limit is decided by the team. Then we have the team size. So Scrum framework gives you a recommendation on the team size that it should be up to 10 members. So your Scrum team should be up to 10 members. And if that is the case, then it will be working at optimization. If the size goes beyond 10 members, then there are certain implications in terms of the increase in the communication complexity and certain other things. That is why Scrum framework recommends you that you should keep your size of the team up to 10 members. In Kanban, there is no such limit, because Kanban doesn't focuses on the uh, team level things. It focuses at the workflow level things. Okay, so it doesn't give you any recommendation on the team size. It just says that start with what you have. There is no need to make any changes in your structure. Okay, you can start applying Kanban method in your existing organizational structure. And lastly, the difference in terms of the cadence. So as I mentioned, that the heart of the Scrum is sprints, and these sprints could be up to 1 month long. So you must have seen 2 weeks of a sprint, 3 weeks of a sprint, like that. So there is a fixed cadence in Scrum in form of sprints. And in Kanban, there is no such sprints concept. It is a continuous flow. Okay. So these are the main differences between Scrum and Kanban. I hope that it could broaden some clarity. And in the further slides, we will discuss now that how to choose what to use, whether to use Scrum or Kanban or both, and how. Okay, so a lot of times people do ask whether we should go with Scrum or we should go with Kanban. So my answer to this is that do not fall into the trap of choosing one over another. Are you surprised? Okay, I'll tell you why. Because as I told you in the beginning, Scrum is a framework for managing complex projects, whereas Kanban is a method for optimizing the workflow. So you should not compare a framework with a method. It is not an apple to apple comparison. So it is not actually about Scrum versus Kanban. It is more about Scrum and Kanban. Both can be used together for a team to perform well. On one hand, where Scrum helps you in managing the complexity of the project, on other hand, Kanban helps you in managing the predictability and flow with the help of its amazing matrices and the principles I told you. So when Kanban and Scrum are combined together, they give you amazing results. And they actually complement each other and help you to achieve greater agility. And when I say they're combined together, so don't think about taking just some part of Scrum and some part of Kanban and then coming up with your own framework. Okay. So when they are combined, they should be combined in its entirety, and you should not violate any one of these to achieve the maximum benefits. There is actually a well-defined professional framework in place called as Scrum with Kanban, PSK, wherein Scrum is used as is and top of it Kanban is applied. And if you explore about it, you will be amazed to see the benefits it gives. So my take on this is that try using Scrum wherever possible for managing your projects. Okay, because it's a whole framework that gives you certain rules and principles to manage the complex projects. Once your teams are matured, okay, once your teams are matured, you can also apply Kanban method within your Scrum framework, because this framework lets you to add more methods and practices. And Kanban is one such method which you add, then it will definitely give you very good results. So try thinking in this way that if you are using a Scrum, you have the velocity of your team, and let's say your velocity is 40 story points, right? When you will use Kanban on top of it, you will have throughput, which is number of work items done per unit of time. So now you can further go a level deeper and combine this velocity and throughput. So now maybe you are able to know that your team is able to do um, 5 user stories of 3 point each in 2 weeks. Your team is able to do 15 user stories of 1 point each in 2 weeks, right? So now you can try to uh, make use of these added matrices. When you using the Scrum framework and you also use the WIP or work item age in Kanban. So when you are doing your daily Scrum, your team can get into a discussion that hey, why certain work items are getting aged a lot beyond normal, and what we should be doing about it. So you will start seeing those kind of benefits. And then I would say that you can apply only Kanban as a method in case of constantly changing priorities. Okay, there is a lot of add-on ad hoc work, and there are many product decision makers. There are many rotations in the team, or you have unstable number of developers in a team. Your teams are not stable. There are very frequent changes. You don't um, you are not operating in a situation wherein same length of sprints are possible. Okay, defining a sprint goal is not possible. So in all such cases, you really cannot use a framework for managing the work. You cannot use a Scrum framework in such cases wherein you cannot even define the sprint goal. There is very frequent change in terms of your um, uh, team size and backlog. It doesn't even stays stable for a week. Okay, in that case, if it's not possible to go with the Scrum, then you can alone use the Kanban method to manage your workflow for constantly changing priorities. Finally, let me take you through some mythbusters, and you would be really surprised to know these. So there's a myth that Scrum Ban, okay, is a combo of what suits you in both Kanban and Scrum. That is what is Scrum Ban, right? But the reality is that the Scrum Ban, this term was originally formulated by Corey Ladas as a means of transitioning from Scrum to Kanban, okay? From moving from Scrum to Kanban, that was originally called as Scrum Ban. But unfortunately, this term has been widely misapplied across the industry, and Scrum Ban now more usually refers to hybrids of both Scrum and Kanban, which lacks the flavor of either, which is not either completely Scrum and not completely Kanban also. It is violating both, and uh, it's not of something which is going to give you much value. So this is the misapplied conception about Scrum Pan in the industry. And then there is another interesting mythbuster I'm going to tell you. Um, Many people do think that Scrum and Kanban are the only two kind of agile approaches you can go with, right? But the reality is that there are more than 50 agile approaches, methods, and frameworks exist as of today. And agile is a very big umbrella, okay? You call it TDD, BDD, FDD, design thinking, CI/CD, DevOps, scale agile framework, SAFe, disciplined agile, Nexus, Scrum at a scale, Crystal, extreme programming, the Spotify model, fast, evidence-based management, your UI, UX, OSA, Lean, DSDM, and whatnot. Okay, all these are the agile ways of working. Try exploring these. So, Scrum and Kanban are not the only two agile approaches. There are several agile ways of working. And that is it for this session. Let me know if you have any questions, thoughts, or comments. And another important thing, if you are looking for any trainings and certifications in Agile, Scrum, or even in other areas like DevOps, development, QA, so you can try exploring Knowledge Hub. They offer a lot of certifications and trainings, and you can also use the code which is being displayed on my screen right now to get my exclusive discount. So you have to apply a code during the sign up, that is my referral code, and then when you are purchasing any certification or training, then you can apply the discount code using which you will get up to 8% off on the courses and certifications. And the details are also given in the description box. Thank you.